In the modern age of technology, if you want to listen to new song by new artist on new album, all that keeps you from doing so is a small monthly subscription and knowing how to use a search bar. Now, sure, there are other frugal ways, but for most listeners, streaming has become an accessible, reliable, and legal way to discover and listen to copyrighted sound waves. Now, I'm a music enthusiast, but I wouldn't go as far to call myself an audiophile, although I do appreciate high quality fidelity, which makes me think the best way to describe myself is what may have been considered a hi-fi enthusiast from around the 1980s. And let's talk more about that decade. The 1980s was a time of Pac-Man, Knight Rider, and a revolutionary new way to listen to music. Amazingly enough, that same format from the 1980s is still on shelves today, over 40 years later. A given is, of course, secondhand stores and other niche options, but I'm talking more about everyday stores like Target. Intermixed with vinyl records, you'll find a few options for CDs, even now in the year 2025. Sure, the selection isn't huge, and honestly, especially for Taylor Swift's albums, they are more marketed as collector's items more than anything else, but the point here still remains. 40 years later, and CDs are still relevant somehow. Among the many ways to enjoy music, CDs were arguably the most impactful, offering high-quality digital audio and even track selection. That was pretty big for the time. But as we saw in Target, CDs have obviously been uprooted for a new era. Now that era is the iPod. The iPod, as we all know, changed everything. But one key thing to focus on here is how buying music changed too. iTunes was the first of its kind to feature an online store to buy songs digitally and download them straight to your Zune. Now, iTunes revolutionized music by letting fans buy single songs for just 99 cents, making music more accessible and profitable for artists. The key here is buy, though. That's an important word we're going to focus on later as we move to the modern era that we know now as the streaming era. Now, Spotify really shook things up. The clever name that mashed up Spot and Identify officially launched in 2011 as an experiment that seemingly offered a perfect trifecta. It had unlimited music in any order you wanted, it was high quality audio, and it offered a free tier with a few ads every now and then, but all the main functionality and features of the main app remained the same. And it remained that way ever since, except it didn't. A trifecta for sure, but maybe it was actually a quadfecta, because it was also legal, a less important detail to most, but it meant the platform could actually survive as it grew. Now, Spotify cleverly integrated into Facebook, and usership skyrocketed essentially overnight. The idea of buying music quickly faded and became obscure in favor of many other notable apps riding that same sound wave, such as Pandora, Tidal, Deezer, Kanye West's Stem Player, and my personal preference, Apple Music, Apple's very own service that would help take down their own service, iTunes. And that's where it ends. Streaming was the perfect solution with zero drawbacks, with the exception of all of the drawbacks. Now it's time to enter the main character for this story. A song I've been searching for going on a few years now, Organized Fairy by Battle Ruin Gape. A song that could only be described as a higher quality version of a low quality royalty-free song you may find on SoundCloud. This song was originally in my Spotify playlist before moving over to Apple Music when it originally launched. Now, this was a simple process and honestly still is. You can find a plethora of apps that will mirror your library and playlists from point S to point A with a fairly high accuracy rate. If the app just couldn't find a close enough match, it would often dump a text file with a nice little list so you can go find the songs yourself, you lazy app. Once you find the songs, it's as easy as adding them back to the playlist they belong in. Or even better, if it's a song you forgot about on purpose, you can leave it in the past by doing absolutely nothing. Now, the transition was easy, but one song ended up on a text file to be found, and that was Organized Fairy. It seemed to be MIA. But I really didn't think much of it. Not a big deal. I'll head to Apple Music, search, and re-add it. Even my grandma could figure that out. Okay. That's fine. I guess it's not on Apple Music. Happens every once in a while. Back to Spotify. That's where it was originally, so it should still be there, or at least it was. At this point, I should have given up. I've already likely put in more effort into finding this song than the original creator actually spent making it, but now I'm more determined than ever. The song has to be somewhere, so let's go hunting. Let's try SoundCloud. No? Okay. How about Tidal? No? Okay. Well, desperate times come for desperate measures. How about Kanye West's Stem Player? I'm just kidding, but could you imagine if it was actually there and that was the solution? But here's a thought. YouTube is the world's unofficial media archive. Seemed like it'd be the perfect place to look next. Not even a trace there either. At this point, all we've done is surface level searching. It's time to do what the pros on Catfish do when they make it look like they're literally searching an FBI database, when in actuality, they're doing the most effortless reverse image search. Okay, so here are the results from the album art of the song. And it looks like a generic wallpaper that was probably, in all honesty, stolen and reused. Underwhelming to all but me. This is actually something interesting, and it finally gives us a trail to follow on what potentially happened. Right now, I have 3 theories as to what happened here. Option number 1. This song was originally created by someone else with a completely different name. Someone ripped it, added some new album art, and posted. If so, it's not out of the question the original owner would have filed a claim and would ultimately be removed for copyright violations. Now, normally there's kind of an air to go along with that. There isn't one here, so this is just speculation, but it's still plausible. Option number 2 is this song was legitimately created by someone. The album art was paid for, edited by the creator, and uploaded to streaming platforms, but clearly didn't perform well. This would hit any reputation. If they wanted to keep creating music, this could hold them back. So maybe it was best to just scrub clean and move on. Third option, I actually have no idea. I can't find any mention of this song or artist anywhere on the internet, so it's really hard to speculate what happened here. So ultimately, we may never know. Okay, so what is the learning lesson in all of this wasted time? Well, remember that CD that I bought at the beginning of this video? This is mine forever. There are no license keys, there's no authorization or validation, and unless someone physically enters my property and takes or destroys this CD, it will be valid until it literally degrades and becomes unreadable, a process that can take over 700 years. Now, I'm not advocating we go back to CDs or anything like that, but instead, let's at least open a dialogue about this. Because an exodus over in the movie and TV streaming world, similar to this music issue that I'm having, is already in motion. And I'm not going to get into that in this video, but it could be a warning sign nonetheless. Organized fairy doesn't really mean all that much to me. Sure. But what if it did? What's stopping this from happening to a song I have really strong memories and nostalgia tied to? Now, I love streaming, and I won't be canceling anytime soon. But I will be more conscious about this moving forward and finding ways to archive and preserve songs that are important to me, because we need to realize that not actually owning anything means we don't actually own anything.